And we are live. Hey, everybody. This is Raw Matt, and I am here with Khonflict, our newest member on Team Standing for Truth. We are going to be interviewing him today because we need to get our audience acquainted with who he is and what he does. And we're about to jump right into this. So, without further ado, this is Khonflict. And before we jump into this, I just wanted to remind everybody to check out his channel. It is Khonflict 34, and I have it on the banner right here for you all to see. Make sure to like and subscribe his channel, and you are going to be seeing a lot more of him even on our channel. He likes to debate and make videos for himself and our channel. We've actually had a marathon with his work before for about up to an hour. So he has more videos coming out. And in particular, we're going to be going through his journey today. We're going to talk about how he found the team, his what made him a Christian. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them in on the side, and hopefully we'll get to them. And let's just jump right into this conflict. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thank you for having me. We talked about that, I can't go on for 40 minutes on something maybe, but I like to keep things kind of short and sweet, but definitely will hopefully answer any questions to the best of my ability.
Awesome. Great, man. Well, we'll jump right into this. How did you actually find this channel, by the way?
It was actually your channel. We've been talking for quite a while now, but when I first contacted you, that's how I found the Standing for Truth channel.
Awesome.
I watched a couple of your videos, and I really liked them. And then I seen the ones on Standing for Truth too, and I was like, wow, it was awesome.
Cool, man. Yeah, we're going after it, man. We're attacking these guys. Exactly what you do. So that's awesome. So what got you started on your journey into this and Christianity itself?
As far as Christianity, I've been a Christian all my life. I grew up in a kind of a poor setting. We lived with my grandma, but we went to church. I really liked it. Once I got older, I stopped going so much, but towards my freshman through senior year, I really enjoyed going. I did a little bit of preaching on Sunday nights to, grow as a Christian. I really like doing that. Unfortunately, once I got into the Marine Corps, everything was a little bit different. As far as the church, it was more just Protestant. They didn't really do any preaching, at least on bases and whatnot. So 2 years overseas, I didn't really have church as far as that, but still read my Bible and whatnot. But I'd say after that, I kind of did lose my faith for a while. I think everybody goes through that, right? And I just happened to kind of stop altogether for quite a bit of time. I didn't like the direction I was going. I really missed being at church. I missed, all the smiles you get and all the, hey, glad to have you and whatnot. Just the community itself, it's a really good community. I know a lot of people just think it's a bunch of people, backbiting and like, oh, look at this guy over here, but in general, everyone's really nice. They treat you with respect, and it's good to feel love from other people instead of, what we kind of have in this world today. Everybody's just really disrespectful, so.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, you said preaching. So wow, you were into it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, awesome. I was at a younger age. And Moses, he was my most favorite, just going over everything with him and his faith. I definitely one of my role models as a kid. The Sunday preacher, he worked with me. I'd go over to his house and we work some things out. So I really liked it.
Okay. All right. I have a question. Did you notice that the military, did it have a lot of Christians in it, or was it more atheistic?
That's a really good question. I found it was kind of a balance, like a mid between. Now, if you want my new definition for a Christian, I'd say there's probably not that many Christians in there. And I guess what I mean by that is, I mean, we all fail at times, but people that are actually trying to be Christ-like, there's people that believe in God, and that's respectful, and that's fine and good too. And we love those people, and I love everyone really. But it's to be a Christian to me is to be following Christ and the way we're supposed to be doing the right things.
Got it. Do you think the military overall enhanced your faith?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I was in the Battle of Fallujah in 2004. My faith was really important to me then. It was a very humbling time for me.
Got it. And by the way, audience, for anybody listening in, if you feel like you have some questions and you want to throw them in, feel free. Again, this is Khonflict. You've probably seen him on our channel a few times in the past. Matter of fact, he even called out Snake was right recently, and I'm sure everyone's familiar with him. He didn't really pick up on it, didn't feel like doing it, I guess, because there was no response. So we're having this interview today instead.
Right.
Which is much better, believe me. This is much better.
Yeah, I agree. It's always good talking to you, but
yeah, I'm not going to be trying to throw in curveballs and try to stomp your face into the ground for no reason at all.
Right.
And man, your arguments, I'll be like, I don't actually think that you gained faith in the military, so I'm going to have to decline what you said.
Yeah, backpedaling now. I'm backpedaling.
Yeah. Yep, man. So here's another one for everybody. Do you have any goals that you're trying to do with your particular channel?
Yeah, actually, what I'd like to start doing is interviewing other people as well, people in the SFT channel, and any other Christians out there, really. If anybody wants to get a hold of me on my channel or on the SFT or even Matt's channel and would like an interview, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Awesome.
So I want to branch that way. I want to continue to give short lessons, but I also want to start branching into the preaching side of it too, and actually do some sermons instead. Okay.
Wow. Great. Awesome. Yeah. We lack a lot of things on the channel, right? Our team is only so big. So we've grown quite a bit recently, and we have some specialists in the different fields, and it's going to be really good to have you on the debate field because you come at a different perspective. Most of us are debating either in genetics or biology, or we have flood, geology. There's all these different things, and a lot of people lack even the most simple arguments that are just logic based, and those go a really long way. You'll be surprised. And it actually, I think, me personally, it's going to connect more with the audience anyway. So here's a question for you. Are you on any social media platforms? That's a good question. Do you have Facebook? If so, what's your name there? Things like that.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I do. I have a Dealing with Conflict page. If you go to Facebook, just search in Dealing with Conflict. I do short little sermons on there. There's always a picture with a little bit of a message or something like that. I like sharing some of the pictures. I like making some pictures, memes and whatnot. So it's a great way to get to know me a little bit.
Great. I'm adding this to my notes. So, okay, everybody, when this is over, or he can himself, and I'll pin it. We can post his links to these different social media outlets, and definitely to his YouTube channel. And it looks like you've already got somebody. It looks like you've got somebody that'll you can interview. Redefine living. He's like, I'm down.
Let's do it.
Great. And for the audience, do you have any videos that are coming out soon?
Yes, I do. There's a defending biblical contradictions. That's going to be coming out. It's going to be kind of a mix. Some of them are going to be actual defending of the contradiction, but it's also going to be kind of a guide on how to better prepare yourself to defend these things. The other video I've got is a Bill Nye video on just, I think we all understand who Bill Nye is, but I really liked him as a kid. He was, he was someone that I watched on TV. I'm sure a lot of you did. I watched him on the news one day, and I was just like, what in the world? I couldn't believe some of his viewpoints from, the kid-friendly character he was on the show, I watched the Ken Ham and Bill Nye debate. I watched when they went through the ark. I really noticed some things about Bill Nye that I didn't know before, and I was actually really upset, on his positions on things and the amount of lack of respect that he actually had.
Yeah, somebody asked the actor guy. Yes, the actor.
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, Bill Nye is known for his TV shows. When about 30 years ago now, he had a science channel, and he would teach basics in science. Even though he's an electrical engineer, he is a basic scientist. They call him the denialist down there. Redefine living.
Right.
Great. Well, here's a question that we'll have to step back for just a minute because you said it a moment ago. But for those of people that might not know the Bible very well, you said that you're a fan of Moses. He was one of your inspirations. What about Moses made him so interesting and fascinating to you?
So what I really like about Moses is just his all over leadership. I mean, if there was a leader, I mean, obviously other than Jesus, I mean, Jesus, you can't beat that, right? But as far as a human being that was not perfect, I just see Moses as this great leader. He had everything. He was a prince of Egypt, and instead he left to be with his people. He was willing to throw all that away to know God better. The way he led, he he wasn't very strong in his words, and in fact, Aaron spoke for him a lot or whatnot. But it's just how he led and how much he cared about the people as well. Some may forget that he was willing to be taken out of the book of life to take the place of those people, that he led out of theirs. And that was because he just felt that responsible for them. It was his leadership leading them that way. And, he took accountability for that. So I really admire that from him.
Right. There's a question. Guzman asked just now, wait a minute, wasn't Khonflict the one that said Greg knew more than me in my debate? I don't know. I don't know. Why would you know this? Anyway, I thought it was a question for you. I just read it out loud. Anyway, do you have a favorite subject that's both inside and outside that Bible? I know that that's two questions. But.
Oh, okay. Well, I like doing music, so I like the poetry in the Bible, but I also really like the history of it. I wish I could actually become like an historian and dig up some of this stuff even to find more about the Bible and actual history. As far as outside of the Bible, like we had talked about, biology really does intrigue me. I'm a complete layman when it comes to genetics and all that stuff. I can admit that, but it does intrigue me, and I think that really is a big key for us in the future, to know more and appreciate God more.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, we like to fight with genetics a lot. Yeah, Jensen said the war is won with genetics. So we jumped right into that. I like genetics, and then biology is kind of like the overall theme of evolution. So if your specialty was, let's say, in chemistry, well, that doesn't completely deal with the entire facet, right? So now you have to open the books again, go right back to studying. And it's kind of like the Bible, because you end up, there's so much to study that it's almost overwhelming. Like, where do I start? like Now, this is one of the biggest things that we get, especially on our channel. Like, why do you guys keep going to Genesis? It could just be an allegorical myth. And if it's just a myth, why, you can easily say that just evolution is true and move on. The Catholic Church did. It's just a story. It doesn't have to be taken literally. So do you believe Genesis is literal?
Yes. So to clear up everything, I am a young Earth creationist. I do believe that Genesis is true. I think Ken Ham, actually, I think he said it the best, is if you view Genesis as some fictional story, then it kind of eradicates almost the entire Bible. It's the foundation. It's where we started. Even Jesus spoke about Adam and Eve. So I don't think Jesus was going to be talking about Adam and Eve as a, analogy or anything of the sort. These were historical people that create the foundation of the Bible. If you don't believe in some of these things, well, it's just another way for an atheist or anybody else to literally pick apart your story. Like, you don't believe in Adam and Eve, well, then why do you believe in Jesus? Or why do you believe this certain event happened? How did Moses part the Red Sea, which was God anyway? But how did these things happen? Or why would you believe them if you don't even believe the very beginning foundation of the Bible?
Very good. Yeah, exactly what we think as well. There's no reason to say that one story is just an allegorical myth and the other isn't, when you can read and determine in there what is. I mean, Bible's fairly clear. You can tell when they're giving a parable. You can tell when it's a law. You can tell when it's a story, and you can tell when it's real. So anyway, sorry about the background noise. I have an idea just for the audience right here, because there's 11 people watching. Would you like to set up a hangout sometime on your channel, and we can you can let people know now if they want to set up an interview with you, how to contact you, whether or not it's via email or just going to your social media or your YouTube channel. If you would like to let them know how to get a hold of you to either set that up, or we can even talk for a moment after you get done saying that, with maybe we should set up an actual live hangout with some people on your channel later this week.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely free this week to hang out with everybody, get to know everyone. I think probably the easiest way to get a hold of me right now was if you go on my Facebook page and get a hold of me there. It's not an actual group. Well, there's a group there too, but I do most of everything I do on the actual. It's like a business page. So just search Dealing with Khonflict on Facebook and you'll find it. Shoot me a message, comment on the pictures or something, and we'll figure it out.
Great. All right. And again, we will be putting that down below in the comment section when this video is done. And if you would like to tell anybody about, I know we've already talked about the Bill Nye, and if you have any particular debate subject that you like talking about, what would those be? Because you put yourself out there to debate people. So if you were talking to somebody right now and you were going to be like, let's debate on, what would you choose?
That's a great question. I would say my strong suit would definitely be in theology. Just, if somebody doesn't think God is just, or thinks God is mean, or something like that, I would be more than happy to debate somebody and hopefully change their mind of how they feel about that. Any kind of doubts that someone may have in the Bible, trust me, I've been there. I would love to debate somebody about that. I've put a lot of time and effort, and I had to dig myself out of the trenches too. So I would definitely debate somebody over that. I don't mind going into the scientific side, but obviously not to the point where I'm arguing about, you know, similarities and this or that, you know, nothing like that, but just in an actual wide spectrum, um, be able to discuss those things.
Great. I'm going to be muting myself in between so you don't hear some background noise. But what would you say would be the best type of biblical evidence? Do you evangelize it by any chance? Do you I know you're going to be doing it online here, and obviously now there's quarantine, so you're not able to. But do you have a particular best type of evidence you like to give somebody to actually to help pull them in, or help them understand that Christianity is good, or one of the best reasons why, or anything like that?
Well, me personally, just like in that video I did with the circular reasoning, I think the way it's said in there is perfect. Every Christian has to be able to defend their faith, and it's not just reading it and saying, "Oh, well, I believe that" or not. It's, you know, there's actual lost in the word right now. There's actual witness accounts, and I think that's the biggest point that you could make in the entire Bible. You know, we could argue about you know, the genetics and everything like that, which I would agree. I think it's a code, and I think it shows God. I completely agree. On a theology side, though, in a different spectrum, the philosophy of it, I think you have to come from a different side and just see that, you know, people that witness things, you can take that on faith. And I don't mean blind faith. I mean actually take it on faith. You know, we still use witness today in the court systems. Even, you know, if somebody was guilty of a murder and you had 3 witnesses that witnessed what happened, you know, that's going to be a case closed, basically. You know, so it's not that we don't still use witness as a way to believe in something. It's just, I think it's been dumbed down by the atheist party.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I always find that ironic. Why would normal people choose to die the most violent, horrific deaths that you could possibly die for something they didn't believe in? Right?
Right.
It's kind of odd.
Right.
What do you say?
Too, actually, because, you know, not only did they die for something that basically they're trying to say didn't happen, but number one, why would you be so stubborn to say, "Oh, I did all this," and go ahead and die for it? You know, I know personally, me, I would be like, "Hey, wait, this was made up." You know, please, just don't do this. You know, but to be honest, I just think even in the writings, why would they, you know, put themselves down? Who would write a biography about themselves and put in there that they did something bad, or that they weren't a good person? You know, I think that's compelling as well.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. What do you think one of the biggest problems is for people, especially even in the United States, for believing in God's word? Because everybody pretty much in any town in America has a church somewhere in their city. So they've heard of Christianity, right? Bibles are free. I mean, the Gideons are in every hotel room you stay in, right? What
Right.
do you think it is that's driving people either away from it or not wanting to be interested in it at all?
Okay, that's a great question. If for anybody watching, if you haven't read it yet, Romans 1:18 through 32. That's a perfect example of why we as humans are the way we are. Um, it's a heart issue, and that's what it comes down to. You know, we're not supposed to follow our heart. You know, it's a complete heart issue. If you don't want to believe in something, you're not going to. It's the same thing with, you know, anybody that's been an addict. I was an alcoholic. You know, if I didn't want to change, I wouldn't have changed. You know, so that's still a heart thing. You know, so when you want something, you actually go for it. You know, if you don't want it to be true, you know, we could talk until we're blue in the face, but if somebody doesn't want God in their life, unfortunately, that's just the way it is, you know.
Yeah, good point. If you could say anything to a skeptic, not a critic, but a skeptic, what would it be? Maybe even for somebody watching right now, somebody on the fence, or somebody who's watching with a family member.
I would say if you're actually skeptical and you want to know more, my recommendation would be to learn more. Um, I would start by reading the Bible. I would start by reading, not at the beginning, actually, if you're skeptical. I would actually start right there at Matthew. You know, let the words of God come into your heart, and let the Holy Ghost guide you. You know, and pray. I think that's the biggest thing too. Is too often we don't think prayer works anymore, and that's even from a Christian standpoint. And that's a huge shame. You know, God has no limits, and our prayers come true all the time. We just have to pray for it. You know, so I would say to test these things, an actual 100% surefire way to know God exists is to read the Bible, one, and pray on it. Ask God to give you knowledge. Ask God to guide you through these things. Ask God things in life, in your life. And when he answers these things, I don't think you'll have any doubt.
Good one. Do you have a favorite book in the Bible? I know you just recommended Matthew to read, but is that your favorite?
So, as a Christian, I didn't actually go head in. You know, I didn't feel the Holy Ghost or anything until I read the book of Matthew. Once I always thought, oh, well, I was one of those people. I was one of those people that said, oh, I know the Bible. I know the Bible, you know, but hadn't even read Matthew. You know, I hadn't even read it fully. But once I did, you know, that's when everything came to my heart, came in, and, you know, I couldn't believe everything that I once thought was true. And so many answers are just answered right there in Matthew.
Oh, for sure. It's a great book. Large, too. Matter of fact, I used to have a video. It was VHS, so we're talking a long time ago. I saw it, and it was the book of Matthew, and it was like 4 cassette tapes large.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, that was incredible. So much to take in. Of course, you could watch it probably 20 times in a row and really still learn something. But it was a good way to learn, I'll tell you that.
No, I agree. Matter of fact, if anyone has Netflix, there's the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're all on there. They all read the actual words from the books, and it's played out. You know, it's pretty good. And I actually have since then I've watched all of them, and it's really nice to be able to, you know, see the differences in each one of the books and how they kind of, you know, each one of them seen something from a different light, you know. So I thought it was really interesting, but please check those out too. If you're not really key on reading, you know, sometimes like I typically say, it's not how much you read, but how much you gain from it. But if you're a slow reader and you pick up better from someone else talking, please check that out on Netflix.
I guess that kind of took away my next question. I was going to say, do you have any recommendations for no, it's good. We're unscripted right now, everybody. I'm just throwing random questions at the guy. So I was going to say, do you have any books or movies that you recommend? You just kind of did, but do you have anything outside of those? Because
yes, matter of fact, right here, any Christian that wants to actually has been afraid to go out and talk and gain other people. This book right here, it's called Growing Up. Can you see that good? Robbie Gallaty, he wrote that book. It basically goes over how to create more Christians, and how to get yourself squared away. It's a really good way to learn. I really took he has what's called a here. So you spell the word out. It's here. So you hear a verse. Then the E is you explain what the verse is saying. And then the A is you find a way to apply it to your life. And then the R is respond. So then you respond. You could respond with a prayer or an action. So if you're going to apply it to your life, you can respond by actually applying it and putting it towards your life. But yeah, this is a really great book. Ken Ham has he has a really great book. I think it was called The Lie. I think that's what it's called now. It wasn't called that back then.
Awesome. Yeah. Ken Ham's real popular. I've been on their channel before, AIG. It's amazing how many people tune in. I mean, it's astounding. So he's done really good. I'm guessing building the Ark helped.
I want to go there so bad. As soon as it opens up, I think I'm going to take a trip down there. It's not that far away from me.
Really? Oh, yeah. We should all go, actually. I think that'd be really fun to have a team Standing for Truth meetup.
That would be awesome.
That would be, because we all got to do something. I mean, we've never even met each other. None of us. Kind of funny. But here's one. Have you ever heard of the Way of the Master? It's Ray Comfort's style of evangelism. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yes.
That's his technique. And basically what it is he's decided to go out and ask people if they're a good person or not. And it says in the Bible that all shall proclaim their own righteousness, right? So they say yes. And then he puts it to the test and asks them about the 10 Commandments without them realizing they're even the 10 Commandments. After they've already dug their own hole, then he tries to get them out of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ray Comfort's, he's pretty amazing when he does that. Yeah, I like his parachute analogy where he uses Jesus as like the parachute. You wouldn't jump out of a plane without knowing you had a parachute to keep you from falling, or dying. So, yeah, Ray Comfort's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he really gets out there. Street evangelizing seems to be pretty good way to reach a lot of people. I mean, it's amazing when you hear him interview people how little they actually know about the subject. I mean, really, how little. So It's important. I mean, we have people in all walks. One guy that we get on here a lot, I'm sure you've seen, is Bill Morgan. And Bill Morgan does that full time. He's retired, and that's all he does. Matter of fact, if you text him, that's what he's doing right now.
Okay.
With the coronavirus, yeah. He's just out doing that all the time.
That's awesome, yeah. I like Bill, too. I like a lot of what he has to say. I watched his debates, too. I really like him.
Yeah. Oh, you got a super chat coming in here. In your opinion, or opinions, you can give as many as you want. What are the best arguments / evidence to use against evolutionists in general? I know it's a broad question, but yeah, just think on that one for a second. And
best arguments to use against evolution. So, obviously, to me, not being, as well versed as Matt and everybody, but I think DNA is a really good way to go. I think the fact that they just try and use similarities in fossils, and just kind of put them next to each other and say, well, that's this and this is that. Who's to say that's not something else, a completely different animal. I think as well, to be honest, I think one of the best things is just they don't have everything mapped out. There's nothing completely mapped out and 100% and anything, they're beginning. They don't have anything like that. The Bible explains it all. It explains, the very first day and all the way to the end. So as far as debating evolutionists, it may be surprising, but most of them don't know as much as they think they know either.
Oh yeah, you notice that from the street evangelizers for sure. Like they go out and they ask people like, "What's your best evidence? Why do you believe in evolution and not God?" And they really don't even know themselves. But leapfrogging off of what you said, it's ironic that you said that their best evidence is homology or basing structural adaptations, and that they find similar genetics inside of species. Because if you remember this, back in the 60s, Ernest Mayr predicted, because evolution is true, that all living organisms should not share any genetic similarities between each other, because deep time would have separated them so much that none would be found. Then they searched and they found that everything shares information. So they hid what he said, and now they tell everybody it's their best evidence. So what should have been a falsification of the theory is now used as their best evidence for the theory. I find that absolutely hilarious.
That's a great point. I think just looking into the whole theory and evolution and kind of just how shady it is, I think that's another great route to go there.
Yeah, good point. Good point. It is shady, isn't it? It's hard to even convey that to people, though. Do you notice that when you're talking to them, they're always like hesitant, and they're like, "Well, how could it be wrong? Why would the teachers be wrong?" They can't grasp it. Do you
Right.
think that's from indoctrination, or do you think that's because they're just the way we're taught? You would know, because the military trains you to believe a certain way, to act a certain way. Does school do the same thing? Is that why they're acting like this?
No, I agree. The military, it is instilled in you. You don't have a choice. In boot camp, before we did a move or anything, you had to say kill. I mean, so these are things that do indoctrinate you and get your mind ready for certain things. Just like school, I think the difference is when you're trying to be educated, it's you get educated by asking questions. This new way they're trying to do things is by saying it's this way and don't ask questions. I don't think that's good for anyone. And a lot of these professors, especially in college right now, they're actually intimidating Christians, to not even say anything, when they're taking their courses. So it's definitely, in my personal opinion, that it's a little bit of indoctrination, and it's a lot of just pride, and it's a better word for that. Just thinking they know better. I think that's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Are there any habits that you think we as Christians should instill in ourselves, or actually, or do more of, just in off the top of your head?
Oh yeah, discipline. Discipline's a huge one, and I'm a huge failure of it. And that's probably why I say it. Sometimes the discipline that we show when we try and give our message to somebody else, that is huge. Um, just try and remember that when you're trying to give that message, it's you are the reflection. So if you're being mean, or not understanding or something like that, then those people are going to perceive that's how Christianity is. So every day we have an option to actually follow what Christ wants us to do, or be ourselves, and maybe turn somebody away from Christ.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think is the worst obstacle for Christians? I know it might be different for some people, but just in your opinion, like that. I mean, that's a hard question. I know it's kind of broad spectrum as well. Worst obstacle for Christians.
Worst obstacle.
Do you? I mean, for example, I mean, is it having too many atheists as a family that's always like nagging you, driving you down? Is it the world? Is it desires? Is it addictions? What would you say would be the hardest part for a new Christian?
I'd say ourselves, as Christians. It's if we're all honest with each other, we're supposed to, the world looks at us like we're supposed to be these perfect people, and we're not. And a lot of people try and perceive that they are. I think that's just the wrong way to go about it. we're not perfect. I make mistakes every single day. You know, I need God's grace. You know, that's the kind of Christian I think people should be trying to, you know, spread that light out there instead of, you know, how dare you be gay, or how dare you do this or do that. You know, everyone sins. You know, we're all sinning differently. There's no, you know, Jesus said, get the log out of your eye before you try and get a, you know, a splinter out of someone else's.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. Yeah, that is hard. I always notice too. You're at a battle with yourself far more than you're at a battle with somebody else. Because you're at yourself all the time, especially now during the coronavirus, right? People are just sitting at home. They've got themselves, right? And divorce is off the charts right now, off the charts because of this thing going on. So, what do you say to people that are always they hear God loves them, but the critics are always saying, "Well, no, because God has caused genocide. God doesn't care. If he cared, he would intervene in what's going on, and he's an evil deity." You hear this a lot, especially on our channel. The critics are huge critics against the God of the Bible, not against God in general, just the God of the Bible. What would you say to that?
No, great question. I'm ashamed to say this, but I asked the same question to my mom. You know, I was pretty upset, and but I gained that through understanding and reading the Bible. You know, and when you actually put your trust in God, you know, your faith in God is more of just trust. You're trusting God to take care of you and do the right thing in your life. When you start doing that, you start to grow to appreciate God. If you don't do those things, and you just take it upon yourself to do every single thing in your life and not allow God to be in your life, you'll never appreciate God. You know, I think one of the best ways is testimonies. You know, listen to K-Love or some other channel and listen to how God was in somebody's life and how they changed their life or something like that. That's a beautiful thing, you know, and that makes me very appreciative, you know, knowing that God did this or did that in somebody else's life. And I think, again, you can't grow to love someone until you appreciate them first. So that would be my first step for anyone new.
Good one for sure. Good. These are great tips because we're getting people on this channel that are brand new or that have been doing this for a long time, and everybody's on their different walk. You know, their journeys put them in different places. So they mostly come to this channel because they're looking to defend what they believe in. They're looking like, wait, what is our argument to this? So they come here for one thing, but there's so much for them to find. As you've noticed, the channel is gigantic now. I mean, we've uploaded nearly almost 2 videos a day. So we have 1,000 videos and we haven't even been up for that long. Right. So it almost is going to be overwhelming. So we have sectioned out everything. And now since we're going to be interviewing you, we're going to do more of these interviews as well. And we're going to have to make a, what is that? Not a slide, but a playlist for this. Playlist. So this is good. We're having you on and everybody's finally getting to know who you are. They've seen your video probably against R and Raw because that was the last one that was posted.
Yeah.
And that video, that video probably pulls more atheists than it does Christians because not a lot of Christians know who he is, but every atheist knows who he is because he is their go-to man to fight against Christianity. Did you know that he was raised as a Mormon? And at the age of 13, he hated going to church so much because they kept waking him up in the morning that he eventually broke down and told his parents, I'm not going anymore. So they got very mad at him. And that's pretty much the reason why he is the way that he is today. He hates religion because he was forced to go, and his parents were extremely religious. And he was forced to go to Mormon, the church for years when he was a kid. And that's what turned him against Christianity to this day. So,
I'd say, I mean, that's shocking, but watching some of his videos, I guess that's not that shocking. I mean, just the way he presents himself and, you know, loses his temper and stuff, it sounds just about right. That would be his character.
Yeah, pretty much his MO, huh?
Right.
Yeah, whatever happened to him in life was it definitely moved over to the point where he became an antitheist. I know there's atheists always say, well, there's different levels of atheists, right? They try to categorize themselves. It's like saying there's different levels of Christian. You're not as Christian as me. What? So they've done the same thing with atheism, even though it's just supposed to be a lack of belief. Well, he has less of a lack of belief than me. Okay, whatever that means. So
Aaron gets a trophy now, though. So.
Aaron is pretty much the most unhinged of all of them, and you pretty much targeted him first. So that's pretty ironic. Yeah. Whatever he's got going on, he's definitely very mad, and he's going to be even more mad as we grow, because we are some of his worst enemies, right? For some reason, he is an enemy to us, and we are an enemy of him. It's funny because he is an enemy of God, and they don't like that we actually pick on him. It's ironic, isn't it, that he can make 100 videos proving why the Bible's wrong, why Scripture's wrong, why Genesis is wrong, all of it. And Jesus was made up, or if he was real, his disciples ate magic mushrooms, and that's what they actually did, and that's why they saw miracles, right? There's always an excuse, always some rescue device. Have you heard this before? Have you heard that argument? And do you know anything about it? Their hallucinogenic mushroom effect, and any of this?
I've never heard that one, but yeah, the video I did on him, I just started watching it, and like immediately I was like, wait, does this guy know what he's talking about? Like, I was actually shocked at just how loosely it was put together, and just how uninformative, or really subjective and not objective at all. I was just kind of like, wait a minute, well, he's not talking about facts here. He's just trying to woo people away.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, good. It's good that you caught that perspective, because that is his only goal.
Right.
I always tell people, did you know, I bet you if he discovered that math was a good way to disprove the Bible, he'd be a mathematician. But it's not, so he has to go to the next best thing. And for him, it's, if evolution is true, then therefore there was no creator, then that's what he goes for. That's why he studies it. He dropped out of high school to become a tattoo artist. So he didn't care about science at all. The fact that he's learning it is so that he can enhance his arguments against Christianity. That's it.
I agree. Yeah, that's his whole point. I guess the only thing I can say to that is, who commits their life to something they don't believe in? Who makes their career and everything else about something they don't believe in? That just doesn't make any sense.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I just, personally, I don't believe in aliens, but you won't see me out here starting a channel any day soon, trying to disprove that aliens don't exist, or anything like that. It's just something I would say, okay, it doesn't exist, and move on. But yeah, especially the new atheist movement, it's just kind of weird on how upset they get. And again, if you read Romans 1:18 through 32, you kind of get why all this stuff is happening.
That's for sure. And you're right about the aliens. Ancient Aliens is very popular today on TV. I mean, huge channel. It's very popular. And I think the majority of people are probably tuning in because they realize that evolution is kind of a joke, really. So I think they would rather believe in aliens than nothing at all did it, right? Or a typical chance. So panspermia makes more sense than lightning hitting mud, right? So what we're getting at now is, I don't think you and me go on Ancient Alien channels and go on tirades against people that believe it. We're not unhinged about people that want to believe in aliens. We're just like, no, there's another theory out there. The fact that they're unhinged when they hear your channel and our channel here, it's very odd, very peculiar. It should make the critic, or the skeptic, I should say, think, like, why is the critic so angry when there's supposed to be nothing but a lack of belief? A lack of belief means you just don't believe it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they're on this. They're just on a fence post, and I think what they do is they use that fence post to say, I'm right here, but they like to be able to jump on both sides of it. They want to say that I don't have a belief, but they want to be able to attack that non-belief as well. So I think that's a complete contradiction of what they should be saying. If they don't believe in it, they don't believe in it. But if you have all this other evidence or whatnot, then you should be utilizing that, not just saying, "Oh, I don't have a belief in something." Pick one side or the other. Don't be in the middle. Even Jesus said that. We don't want to be lukewarm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna share something with everybody. Hold on, let me find it. I'm gonna screen share so everyone can see, and I am going to open up my folder right here, and I've got the perfect. I found this shirt online. I thought it was hilarious. I'm gonna show everybody. There it is. I'm gonna full screen so everyone can see, and I find this ironic because look, they'll believe in dragons, Santa, sure, until you grow up. Aliens, probably, yep. Jesus, no way.
Right. Yeah.
Anything is possible other than that. Anything.
Oh, and I guess this is off topic, but I just absolutely do not like when they use magic, or they say, magic, like everything's fairy dust or something like that. I just, to me, it's more insulting to themselves, to me, for someone to say that. Let's take, for instance, a video game, right? So say you're the programmer of that video game, you're a developer, and you enter a cheat code, unlimited ammo or something like that. Did that developer use magic to make that able to happen? No. It'd be the same way for God. God is the developer, the programmer. He's the everything to our lives. So if he wants to adjust something to make something possible, there you go. It's not magic. He's just able to do it. He's not tied to this. He's above and outside of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that what you just said actually answers the time problem. It's like, well, who created God? When did that happen? See, we're caught in this reality of time. God isn't. He's not confined to time. It's why he moved prophets both forward and backwards in time. It means nothing to him. See, we think about eternity. We're like, oh, that's such a long time. That's why people are always like, are you kidding me? I'm going to be so bored. It's because we think about time, right? It's a linear process to us. We can't even grasp what no time even is.
Exactly. I've got a great PowerPoint about that, the timeline and everything on how God can see it. Obviously that's how I believe, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Where can people find that PowerPoint?
Well, I could put it up here if you show me how to.
Oh, on the bottom where you're looking at with me in the screen, there's a share screen at the bottom. You'll have to double click on that and then it'll pop up and you'll have to accept it. But they'll see exactly what you see on your computer screen. So when you full screen it or whatever, that probably might be the time to do it.
Well, let me pull up the file real quick. Sorry.
What's funny too is that M theory, string theory, right? M theory, it's the thing that the secular M actually stands for magic. So when they say you believe in magic, they believe in magic as well. They don't even realize it because that's what Witten designed M to stand for, magic. I find that fairly funny. And what's funny too is the definition of magic. But here's one of the biggest things is they always say it had to be magic because animals talked. Well, no, an animal never talked, just like the bush never talked. There was a spirit next to those things that talked, and they interpreted it to be those animals that were talking. You can see that clearly when the donkey, Balaam, was talking, and then the spirit of the angel appeared next to it and asked the exact same questions that the donkey did. Clearly evidence that it was not the donkey speaking.
Right.
But that's just an example that I'm always getting the animal talking. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I agree. Am I on? Can you see it or what?
No, just because you're screen sharing, you still have to accept it. So once you hit screen share, that box pops up and you'll have to hit share on the bottom right. You'll see a button for it. Oh, it says screen sharing was canceled. Oh, that was me doing it. I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
on my side. So I'll let you know when I see something.
Did that work?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I have to add it. Sure. There it is.
Okay. All right. So this first part is actually just showing, it goes over the dimensions. It's not fixed, but real quick, you can see, well, once I hit the button, I guess. Maybe. What am I doing wrong? There we go. Well, I don't know what's. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So, in a dimensions standpoint, we're in a third dimension. So if there's a fourth dimension and whatnot, just imagine that this piece of paper, it's a 2D drawing with two people on there. Now imagine that God was to put his finger right through that piece of paper, right? All those 2D images would ever see was a hole there. See what I'm saying? So for us to grasp something more than that, it's just beyond our capability. We just can't do it, right? So here's the timeline on why God can see everything. It's because God's not actually tied to the world. You have the past, you got the present, and the future, and then God is completely separate. He's all the way outside of it. Everything. You got here in the past. He's able to look right now, and he would be able to see Adam. He'd be able to see Noah. He'd be able to see Moses. Yeah, I think I had one more on there. Oh yeah, and he'd be able to see Jesus. Just in that same second, he could be going straight to the present and be seeing exactly what we're talking about right now. He could see all that stuff. And the same thing in the future. That's why God can tell people what was going to happen and who Jesus was going to be and come from, the line of David and all this other stuff, because God was able to see it already. So I just think that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was a good visual analogy. That was perfect. People do so much better when you can see something. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. That's why I spend so much time editing. I don't want to just have a video where I'm staring at my screen. That's just basically a radio program. I want to try to make some visuals for people. You edit.
Right.
It's a lot of work, man.
It is. It can be, yeah.
But it's helpful. It's helpful. And those little diagrams right there are very visual, beneficial. So that's great stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess I haven't seen any more questions come in. For the audience, I'm interviewing Khonflict. He's our newest member of Team Standing for Truth. He's made some videos for our channel before. And again, if you get a chance to go by his channel, it's actually Khonflict 39, right?
34.
34. Okay. Yeah. Khonflict 34. All one word. That's how you can find it right now. But again, we'll have the link in the description below after this. And we're pretty much getting the audience to know him a lot better, because he's going to start partaking a lot more with us. So when you see him in groups and in debates, you're going to know who the guy is now. He's no more just random people joining conversations anymore. We got to let our fans know who everyone is.
Right.
And if you wanted to tell everybody again that what your goals were for your channel, for those that have tuned in, we have a whole new audience now from the start.
Yeah. So the new things for my channel, obviously, I'll still keep doing the kind of stuff I am doing. I want to do a little bit of sermons as well. So I'll start working on those. I also want to start interviewing people as well. So that the SF Standing for Truth team, even you, Matt, if you want to be interviewed by me, that'd be awesome. Or any Christian period, just to help grow the channel as well. I think sometimes maybe we just need to hear from a fellow Christian, or maybe they're having a hard time and we can help them.
Yeah, I've been told recently too by a few people now. The last one to tell me was actually the Jesse, and she said this, people love to hear people's stories about how they were converted or their, what got them interested in this, because everyone's so different, but it relates to somebody else. So it's all about just trying to relate to people because we're just normal people. It's like Christians aren't. Not every one of us were born into the church and raised that way, right? A lot of us found it much later. Matter of fact, I think pretty much most of our entire team was that way on Standing for Truth here. I know it was for Standing for Truth himself and myself. I mean, we're new Christians, so it's not something we knew at all. Not our parents weren't religious, nothing. So very, very different. So definitely, I'll come on your show, do an interview. It'll come down to your schedule and my schedule, but really, we'll make it work. I mean, just like this one right now, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people will see this, so this will be really good. Get it out there for you, and I guess we can start winding down. We've been going on over an hour. If you wanted, if there's any other things you wanted to bring up, let's jump on that real quick too.
No, not. I can't really think of anything else I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we did cover a lot, huh?
Yeah,
more than
I can talk because I was going on for quite a while, wasn't I?
Well, that was good. We never really done that before, so I didn't know it was even gonna last 30 minutes. I was like, I don't even have questions really. So we're just gonna wing this. I really don't do interviews, so it was pretty fun. It's easy actually to ask them because I'm just curious myself. We only chat and text, so it's a lot.
Yeah, right.
Ask you a question directly. So much easier, so much faster.
Right.
Yeah. So I have Netflix, so I'm definitely going to check out what you were talking about, the different books of the Bible that you can find on Netflix. I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's really good. Right now is the best time for everybody to be learning and studying because everybody's down. And what a great opportunity to take. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, no, I can't work. But yeah, use it for something. Don't just sit around and mope.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody, for sure. And again, everybody, don't forget, you can find Khonflict on his YouTube channel. He has social media. And we're going to be posting the links below. And Khonflict, I think you should probably go live sometime on your channel, just as a live feed. See who shows up. And then from there, expect people to join. You can throw the comment, the link into the live chat, and people will just join. That's how Nephilim Free grew his channel, and it works really good. It gets your time up on your channel. The more your time goes up, the more YouTube pushes it up. Because remember, the more money you make them, the more they care about you, no matter what your content is. They're all about money. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
And if you're tagging yourself and it's just a Christian thing, it's not going to get moved up the ladder very fast at all. So you have to just be constantly putting out content. I recommend every 3 days you have a video going up, whether or not it's just a short post or a edited video or a interview or documentary, whatever it may be. Try to do something every 3 to 4 days, and it'll keep your channel really high up on the I can't think of the term, but it'll just keep it relevant. So therefore, more people can find your channel that way as well.
Right.
And this is a good interview. Anybody? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I appreciate that, the advice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If anybody has any last questions for him, let me know, and we will start to wind down here. And I guess if you have any favorite evangelists, who would you recommend? Is there anybody out there that you would say, check this guy out? He's really coherent. He's got a good teaching. He's fascinating. Anything like that?
So Ravi Zacharias, he did unfortunately pass away recently, but that man is brilliant. He knows how to articulate his words. He's very knowledgeable, or he was. Sorry. I think you can see most of his stuff on YouTube as well. Again, I think Ken Ham. I think Ken Ham has a really bright and accurate way to come across things scientifically, and even logically too. You know, he's pretty good at keeping things logical and making it easy for people to understand things. So definitely those two.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I've heard a lot of people say only good things about the guy on
Yeah.
every side. And now that's pretty rare considering denominational issues that people have. And yet every denomination really speaks good about a guy. That tells you a lot. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think the crazy thing is, you know, number one, he was born in India, you know, but he tried to commit suicide when he was younger, you know, so he came from this really troubled life, and you know how atheists really like to rub it in that if you're from this country, you're going to have this religion or whatnot, you know, to imagine that God made Ravi, you know, this inspiration and this huge figure for the Christian community is just amazing.
Absolutely, for sure. Wow. Well, thanks for the interview, man. And
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for coming on. And thanks everybody for the questions, and Ruben for the super chat. That was awesome. And we are done. So we'll see you guys pretty soon. I'm not sure what's scheduled for the rest of the day, but I'm sure there'll be something going on. And if not, then have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.